Revealed, how I transformed pain into power 5 days after my dad excluded me from Christmas. Jake had always been the guy who was there. The dependable rock in a tight-knit suburb of Chicago, he wore his positivity like a badge. At 28, he was the smiling face at the local furniture store, working tirelessly amidst a pandemic that left many adrift. He'd always been the glue, holding family meals together and offering shoulders to cry on. But 5 days before Christmas, that illusion shattered. In a cruel twist of fate, his estranged father, a man cloaked in unspoken scars from his time as a veteran, publicly excluded him from the family's Christmas gathering. The word stung like ice, leaving Jake gasping for air in a storm of emotions. The warmth of holiday cheer felt like a distant memory as he grappled with the weight of rejection. The heartache was suffocating. Loneliness wrapped around him like a heavy blanket, leaving him feeling invisible. Christmas, usually a beacon of connection and joy, felt more like a gaping wound. His finances were tight, just like everyone else's, a constant reminder of his inadequacy in a season that demanded abundance. With the days ticking down to the holiday, the pain felt insurmountable, but Jake, resilient as ever, made a choice. Instead of surrendering to despair, he sought strength within his community. He visited local businesses, each storefront telling a story of dreams and struggles. Each owner he connected with was a mirror reflecting back a shared human experience. At a small bakery, he met Maria, a single mother who poured her heart into each loaf she baked. Her weary smile belied a fierce determination. Inspired, Jake volunteered at the community center, where the spirit of giving ignited a flame in his heart. He listened to all sorts of stories: the elderly couple struggling to make ends meet, the young artist dreaming of brighter days. Each conversation reminded him of a crucial truth: everyone carries pain, but many find a way to transform it into power. As the days grew shorter and Christmas lights began to twinkle, a flicker of hope ignited within him. He pondered the notion that his self-worth didn't hinge on his father's acceptance but instead on his ability to be a beacon for others. The realization surged through him like electricity. With this newfound courage bubbling to the surface, he knew he had to confront his father. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each reminder of joyful gatherings now stripped away, Jake found himself standing on his father's doorstep, heart pounding like a drum. The holiday spirit buzzed around him, a sharp contrast to the weight in his chest. As the door creaked open, he met his father's weathered face, a face filled with surprise and reluctance, shadows of past traumas reflected in his eyes. Jake could feel the air thick with unspoken words. This wasn't just about Christmas. It was about years of missing connection and the chance to heal the fractures between them. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, to bridge the chasm of silence with the truth of their shared pain, the door began to close again. Would his courage be enough to turn the tide? Would they find common ground, or would this moment slip away like so many before? Wait! The word burst out of Jake, desperate and raw. His hand instinctively reached out, halting the door's slow retreat. The world around him blurred, and in that space where past regrets met present vulnerability, he felt the weight of everything that lay between them. His father's eyes shifted from surprise to confusion, then softened just slightly at the edges. "What do you want, Jake?" The question hung in the air, heavy with years of silent hurt and unspoken words. I came to talk," Jake managed, his voice trembling. "I know things aren't right between us, but I want to fix it. I don't want to keep pretending." It was like laying bare his soul, each word a stab of honesty. For a moment, his father just stared. The lines on his face deepened as shadows danced in his eyes. Jake's heart raced. It felt as if the entire world was focused on that front porch. Would he be met with anger, disdain, or worse, silence? "Fix it?" His father finally replied, a hint of something sharp gleaming in his voice. "You think it's that easy?" "No, I don't think it's easy at all," Jake said, stepping closer, the space between them fraught with tension. But if we don't start now, when will we? You don't understand, his father replied, shaking his head as if the thought was impossibly heavy. Things I saw, things I did. I thought being away would protect you from it all. What if it's just made it worse? Jake countered. I need answers. I grew up feeling like I was never enough. That I wasn't worth your time. The door creaked open just a tad more, and Jake could smell the faint trace of pine and cinnamon wafting from the house. He remembered the warmth of past Christmases, laughter echoing through the halls. It had all felt so distant, like a fading photograph. You don't know what it was like for me, his father retorted, but the heat in his voice was slowly dissipating. You think I wanted to shut you out? You didn't see me after the war. I don't need to understand all of it, but it's not too late for us, Jake pleaded, feeling a crack in the wall they'd both built over the years. We can both learn and heal together. The silence stretched between them, thick with unprocessed emotions. Jake held his breath, waiting, hoping that the memories of a shared childhood would be enough to bridge the canyon of pain that had grown wide and deep. Finally, his father sighed, eyes closing as if gathering strength. I can't promise, but I can try. The weight of the words settled over them, the frost slowly thawing in the tense atmosphere. Jake felt a rush of tentative hope, like a small flame reawakening in the bitter cold. Maybe, just maybe, this door had just begun to open wide enough for healing to seep through. As he stepped inside, the familiar scent of Christmas enveloped him, mingling with the bittersweet tang of unresolved issues. Would this be the moment they began to rewrite their story? Or had they simply traded one painful chapter for another? Jake knew the answer wouldn't come easily. Each step further into the home required a leap of faith, but he was ready to confront whatever awaited him. And as they settled into the living room, silence punctuated by the faint chiming of distant bells, he realized that what lay ahead was not just about reconciling the past, but about discovering who they could become together. Would they emerge from the shadows, or would this gesture of hope slip away like another unfulfilled promise? Jake stepped into the living room, fighting back emotions that threatened to spill over. The room was decorated just as he remembered, the twinkling lights strung across the mantel, the tree adorned with familiar ornaments. Each detail pulled at his heart, reminding him of better times. His father hovered at the door, the threshold between the past and the future. Jake could see the uncertainty etched into his father's face, the struggle between faith and fear waging behind those tired eyes. With each minute of silence, Jake felt the walls around him tighten, amplifying his resolve. Dad, he said softly, searching for the right words. We can talk about it if you're ready. We can take it one step at a time. His father shifted, adjusting his grip on the doorframe as if it offered him both comfort and restraint. You said you wanted answers. What do you want me to say? It was hard for me too. You think I didn't care? No, Jake breathed, shaking his head. I felt that you did care, just not about me anymore. The admission scraped both their hearts, raw and exposed. For a moment, his father's eyes looked far away, lost in memories he couldn't share. Jake wanted to reach out, to bridge the divide with a touch, but that gesture still felt fragile. Being a father, it was harder than I thought, his dad finally confessed, his voice a mere whisper. Coming home after everything. I didn't know how to be, he hesitated, eyes glistening. I didn't want to bring my darkness into your light. Jake's heart twisted. He wanted to tell his father that we all have darkness, that acknowledging it doesn't weaken us, it connects us. You don't have to walk in the shadows alone, he replied earnestly. Let me in. Let us go through it together. A flicker of hope lit up his father's face, but then shadows rushed in again. You were just a kid. I thought I'd keep you safe by shutting you out. I thought you wouldn't want to know. Jake stepped closer. But you didn't give me a choice. I wanted to be there for you. I needed you to be there for me too. A dad who loves me, who is present, not just a ghost haunting our home. The silence that followed was thick. Jake could feel the intensity of his father's emotions swirling, could almost touch the crack forming in his defenses. I just don't know if I can, his dad started, and for the first time, Jake saw tears well in his father's eyes. I don't know how to change. I'm scared. It's okay to be scared, Jake reassured him. I'm scared too. Scared this might not work, scared of what I might find out. But maybe if we face it together, it can lead us to something real. The air seemed to shift, charged with a new energy. Jake reached out tentatively, bridging the gap between them with his open palm, a silent offer of connection. And then his father moved slowly, hesitantly until their hands met. The touch was electric. Old wounds began to feel lighter, and the room surrounded them in a warm embrace, wrapping them in the possibility of what could be. Let us start, Jake said, squeezing his father's hand slightly. Together. Right now. His father's grip tightened around Jake's, as if finally letting go of years of fear and regret. In that moment, amid the decorations and memories, they began to carve a new path forward. But deep down, Jake felt the flicker of doubt. Did they truly have the strength to do this? As they stared at one another, both men knowing the Himalaya of obstacles still lay ahead, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was still to come. What secrets lay buried in his father's heart, and how would they confront the ghosts of the past that had held them hostage for so long? Jake held his father's hand tightly, grounding himself in the warmth of the touch. The anxiety and trepidation that had loomed over them began to dissipate, replaced by an unspoken understanding that had been absent for far too long. Let us share something, Jake proposed, his voice steady but gentle. Something we remember from good times, something that made us feel close. He took a deep breath, surprising himself with how much he wanted to start turning the page. I remember the summer we spent at the lake. You taught me how to fish, unsure at first if I'd catch anything. But then, when that fish snagged on my line, you acted like I had just hooked a record breaker. His father's brow furrowed, but he smiled faintly. You were small, but your excitement could fill a room. You jumped up and down like you'd never caught anything before. Exactly. Jake beamed. That moment felt magical. It was just us, no fears, no ghosts hovering. Just dad and son, laughing and enjoying the day. It was a small step, a fragment of joy in the tapestry of their relationship, but it felt significant nonetheless. I remember, his father murmured, his voice catching slightly as nostalgia washed over him. You just flung that fish back into the water without a second thought. You said you didn't want to hurt it. Always so compassionate, so innocent. Jake felt a swell of hope. Even then, I was trying to shield you from worries, wasn't I? The irony made him chuckle, warming the atmosphere further. We both thought we were protecting each other. His father's expression shifted, deepening into something that looked like regret. If I could go back, I'd change how I did things. I'd be there for you instead of hiding away. Maybe we can still have that, Jake replied softly. Maybe we can still be there for each other. We've got some ground to cover, but it's not too late. His father hesitated, then pushed back against years of hesitation. You haven't been able to about what's between us. You deserve to know. But I have to warn you, some of the truths I have might hurt. They are tangled up in my past, my choices. Dad, I want to hear them, Jake urged, leaning in. If we're going to heal, we have to face the hard stuff. The darkness, the mistakes. I can't carry the weight of those secrets anymore. Jake's father's eyes widened, doubt flickering like a candle about to be snuffed out by a gust of wind. But Jake held his father's gaze steadfast. He wouldn't let this moment slip away. The air thickened with tension, time stretching as they stood on the brink of revelation. I was a bad husband and a worse father, his father finally confessed, pain etched into every word. I made choices that cut deep into our family. I thought that pushing you away would shield you from the wreckage of my life, from my failures. The honesty stung, and Jake could feel his heart constrict further. He thought he was prepared for this, but nothing could brace him for the visceral reality of his father's realizations. Dad, you have to understand. I knew something was wrong. I felt you slipping away. We didn't have to drift apart. We could have fought together. I didn't know how to fight, his father said, the tremor in his voice betraying a lifetime of burdens. But if you're willing to walk this path, I'll try. For you. Jake could feel the tears welling in his eyes, a mix of sadness and hope. They were finally breaking down walls. This wasn't just about the past anymore, it was a glimpse of real connection. Okay, he said with conviction. Let us start here. Let us talk about the choices that scarred us. Just then, a loud crash from the kitchen startled them both. They exchanged alarmed glances, and Jake's heart raced. What now? Had something else broken in this house of memories? There was no telling what more chaos could emerge within the walls that held so much history. Do you think we're ready? His father asked, looking more uncertain than ever. Jake nodded, breathless. We have to be. Let us go see, he replied, pushing himself to his feet. Together, they moved toward the chaos in the kitchen, a new storm waiting beyond the threshold. The question echoed in Jake's mind. What other surprises awaited them as they continued their journey into the past? As they stepped into the kitchen, the scene before them was a mixture of surprise and confusion. A wooden chair lay on the floor, its leg broken off. The contents of the table scattered, a half-eaten loaf of bread and the remains of yesterday's dinner sprawled across the tile. Jake's heart skipped a beat. Is anyone there? He called, glancing around for any sign of life. It felt absurdly quiet, an eerie silence breaking the comfort they'd been building. I'll check the pantry, his father said, already stepping cautiously toward the narrow door. You look by the sink. Jake nodded, moving slowly, trying to process what had just happened. He had barely begun to delve into the emotional turmoil awaiting them, and already their fragile connection was teetering at the edge of a new chaos. As he approached the sink, he noticed something sparkly peeking from behind a stack of dishes. Curiosity piqued, he reached to pull it out. It was a small, crumpled note. Unfolding it, he felt the room grow heavy with its content. It was a child's drawing, vibrant colors swirling in a childish scrawl. Beside the stick figures, one taller, one shorter, were scribbled words, "I love my dad." He gasped, the air catching in his throat. This was not some random piece of art. It was something from his childhood, something he'd forgotten but that had obviously been waiting in this kitchen for the moment to resurface. It felt like a bridge between his past and what he was trying to reclaim with his father. Dad, come here. Jake called out, holding the note tightly as his father returned, brows knitted in curiosity. What is it? He stepped closer, and the tension in his face shifted to a softer look as he saw the drawing. I drew this when I was, how old was I? 5? Jake recalled, his cheeks flushing with nostalgia. I remember showing it to you. I was so proud. I remember, his father interrupted, voice thick with emotion. You put it on the fridge. You wanted me to see it every day. The warmth that had begun to form between them jolted into a full blaze. Jake felt his father's hand envelop his shoulder, a grounding connection. I hid it away for a long time, his father admitted in a whisper. I didn't deserve to look at it. It reminded me of everything I lost. But you were always filled with love, despite my mistakes. Jake could hardly breathe. That moment, that simple drawing, embodied a promise. We can work through those mistakes, Dad. We're here now. You don't need to hide anymore. But just as they embraced the warmth of revelation, another noise echoed from a corner of the room. This time, it was a soft tapping sound. They turned to find a small cat, sandy-colored with bright green eyes, scratching at the door leading to the backyard. Where did that come from? Jake wondered aloud. I have no idea, his father replied, a hint of laughter bubbling through his surprise. I thought we didn't have pets anymore. Jake walked toward the door swinging open to reveal the small creature. The cat stepped in, rubbing its head against Jake's leg as if claiming him as its own. Looks like we have company, he said, kneeling to stroke the cat gently. His father chuckled, the sound echoing against the kitchen walls. Just when I thought things couldn't get more chaotic. Maybe this is a sign, Jake mused, looking up. Things can change. Sometimes, they just need a little push. But just as they settled into the moment of unexpected joy, a memory surfaced in Jake's mind, one he hadn't wanted to confront. His heart sank. Dad, do you really think we can bring back the love? The connection? His father looked thoughtful, the sparkle fading for a mere moment. It's possible. But it's going to take work and openness and trust. Jake nodded, but doubt flickered. Could a stray cat truly signify a new beginning? And what about the shadows still lingering from the past? Then let us start with the cat, he suggested, a half-smile playing on his lips. Might need all the luck we can get. As laughter filled the room, the sound felt different now, lighter. But the underlying question remained. Hanging in the air, would they be able to transform those shadows once and for all? Jake stood, the cat curling up at his feet, feeling hope shift in his chest. There was a flicker of possibility not just with the cat but with everything that had been unspoken between him and his father. Come on, let us see if there's food in the pantry for our new friend, Jake said, nudging the cat playfully. His father followed, laughter still lingering in the air, but a tangible tension danced in the room too. As they reached the pantry door, Jake hesitated. Each door in this house seemed to hold secrets. Pushing the door open felt like stepping deeper into their history. Dust motes floated in the slant of sunlight, illuminating jars of sauces and boxes of cereal untouched for months or years. He knelt and started rummaging, hoping to find something for the cat. His hand brushed against a cool glass jar, and a rush of memories flooded in. Jake, look at this! His father exclaimed from the back of the pantry. He held an old baseball mitt, its leather cracked but still sturdy. Remember our games in the park? Jake felt a rush of warmth mixed with longing. How could I forget? He smiled, swallowing the lump in his throat. They used to play every weekend, before everything changed. We should go back, his father said, eyes bright with an idea. Just like old times. You and me, throwing the ball around. A flicker of excitement disturbed the shadows in Jake's mind. But for every rush of warmth, doubt clawed at him. How could they just go back to that? Could laughter truly drown out all the hurt? Will things really be the same? Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The question hung heavy between them, echoing all the hesitation that had built up over the years. His father's expression shifted, sincerity pouring from his eyes. No, they won't be the same. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we can build something new together. Just then, a soft purring noise broke the tension. The cat had climbed onto the countertop, batting at a loose piece of string that dangled from the edge of the shelf. They both watched, laughter bubbling back up in the air as the cat leapt, inelegantly, trying to catch the floaty object. Okay, that's adorable, Jake said, releasing the weight from his chest and watching as his father also cracked a smile. Maybe we should name him, his father suggested, leaning against the door frame. Jake grinned thoughtfully. How about Lucky? He showed up when we really needed a distraction. Lucky it is then, his dad agreed, taking a step forward, the hesitation easing. But just as the connection felt revitalized, a loud thud echoed through the house. It reverberated deeply, not just through the walls but through Jake's heart. The laughter stopped, replaced by a heavy silence. What was that? Jake's voice trembled, uncertainty creeping in again. Let us check it out, his father said cautiously, moving first towards the sound, a mix of determination and anxiety in his stride. They reached the living room, where shadows danced ominously across the walls. The source quickly became clear. The bookshelf had toppled over, books sprawled on the floor like fallen soldiers. Who? Jake started, but before he finished, a distinct sound, a muffled voice emerged from the chaos. Help please! Jake's heart raced. The strangest feeling washed over him. What if this voice belonged to someone they had lost? At that moment, a flood of questions rushed through his mind. Who could it be? Could they handle whatever was about to come? He looked at his father, uncertainty mirrored in both their eyes. Let us find out, his father whispered, stepping forward. With every step they took towards the voice, Jake felt the weight of the kitchen, the warmth, the laughter shifting underfoot. What awaited them in the living room felt like another chapter altogether, one that could either unravel everything or stitch it back together. Jake swallowed hard, anxiety and excitement battling in the pit of his stomach. Whatever lay ahead, he knew they were standing on the precipice of an unfolding truth. Would it bring them closer or tear them apart forever? Jake's knees knocked against the wooden floor as he approached the toppled bookshelf. Each book lay like a testament to memories long tucked away, stories he'd once cherished but had since faded into silence. He tried to push the panic down. It was like a wave in his chest, threatening to swallow him whole. Dad, what if he hesitated, drawing in a shaky breath? What if it's someone trapped? What if his dad's hand rested gently on his shoulder? Whatever it is, we face it together. Remember that. The assurance in his father's voice settled over Jake like a warm blanket, though his heart still raced. Help please. The voice was a little stronger now, desperation cracking through the muffled tones. It struck through Jake's resolve, making him feel small in the chaos. Stay close, his father said firmly, pushing aside the fallen books and reaching behind the tangle of paper and wood. The room felt closed in, shadows creeping towards them. Who's there? Jake called, his voice steadying as he felt a surge of courage. Help me, I can't. The voice broke off into a low whimper, and Jake couldn't ignore the sound of fear. In a moment, they reached the back of the shelf. Pushing aside the last of the fallen books, they stumbled upon the source, a small, frightened puppy, trembling and wedged between the wall and the remnants of a crumbled shelf. Its big brown eyes stared up at them, full of confusion and hope. Oh, no way, Jake breathed, sinking to his knees. Shoo, we're here to help, his father soothed, a smile breaking through his earlier worry. Gently, they reached down and lifted the puppy out. It was dirty and thin, but it squirmed eagerly in their hands, tail wagging cautiously as if unsure about these new faces. Look, Dad. He's just a baby, Jake smiled, heart overflowing with a warmth he hadn't felt in ages. Looking at the puppy was like seeing a flicker of light in the dark corners of the house. Lucky found us someone else, his father laughed softly. Jake giggled, the tension in the room easing as the pup licked his face enthusiastically. It was discovering joy mixed with uncertainty. Maybe they could be different together, build a new family of sorts. They both sprung to their feet, joy washing over them. But the walls still felt heavy, and the shadow of unanswered questions loomed over. What should we name him? Jake turned to his father, eyes gleaming with hopeful delight. How about Chance? His dad suggested, gazing fondly at the puppy. An opportunity for something new? Chance it is. Jake echoed, laughter bubbling between them. Yet, a nagging thought lingered. But what about the voice? It felt like someone was. He paused, like someone was in trouble. His father's eyes softened with understanding. Maybe this is just the beginning. Chance might be a sign for us. But we will search the house first. Let us make sure everything is all right. As they gathered the books strewn across the floor, determination rose within Jake. He couldn't shake the eerie feeling, like something lay hidden still waiting to be uncovered. Every step deeper into the living room came with a pulse of tension. Shadows danced on the walls, whispering secrets Jake was desperate to unravel. What are you thinking? His father asked, glancing at him. I feel like we're on the brink of something, Jake said, a mix of dread and excitement building within him. Like we need to discover what else this house holds. What if there's more to find, more stories waiting for us? His father nodded, resolve tightening his grip on Chance. Then that's exactly what we'll do. Together. Steeling himself, Jake felt the flicker of unease morph into a spark of resolve. Whatever they found next, he wanted to face it head-on. But as they moved to the next room, a chilling groan echoed from the walls. What could they possibly find in the depths of their home? Jake flinched at the sound. It felt like the old house was alive, breathing through the creaks and groans of its aged walls. Chance, still held gently in Jake's arms, whimpered softly, sensing the shift as his new family pushed further into the unknown. Did you hear that? Jake whispered, gripping his father's shirt tightly. Yeah, I did, his dad replied, scanning the dimly lit corridor ahead. We'll go together. They eased into the next room, where shadows clung to the corners. Dust motes floated in the air, swirling in the faint light that struggled to filter through the grimy window. Every inch of the space felt heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding back secrets from a time long gone. What if something else is trapped? Jake thought aloud, fear mingling with his newfound bravery. With chance nestled against him, he felt a flicker of courage sparking deep within. Then we'll find it, his father said, determination settling like steel in his voice. As they stepped into the room, an overturned chair caught Jake's eye. It was no longer just a piece of furniture, it felt like part of an unfinished story trapped in time, begging for release. He approached it carefully, wondering how it got there. Maybe the voice Jake began, but his thoughts fizzled out as he caught a flicker of movement behind a curtain. His breath quickened. Dad, look! His father moved closer, parting the heavy drape. A thick cloud of dust erupted, dancing in the air as they revealed a small, old door hidden to most but bursting with possibilities. It seemed to breathe with anticipation. What lay beyond? Should we open it? Jake felt both the thrill and trepidation build within him. The door seemed to whisper secrets, its surface worn and mysterious. His father nodded. Yes. Let us see what's there. With a firm grip, they turned the handle, which creaked unnervingly. The door opened slowly, protesting against years of disuse. A darkened space emerged, dim and inviting all at once. Jake peeked inside. The room was cluttered, filled with forgotten things, dusty old furniture, boxes piled to the ceiling, a yellowed photograph pinned to a corkboard. It looked like a forgotten corner of their lives, maybe even a hidden treasure of memories just waiting to be rediscovered. Wow, Jake whispered, stepping inside. Chance wriggled free from his dad's embrace, darting forward into the darkness. Chance! Wait! Jake chased after the puppy, each step stirring up dust, the air thick with musty scents and faded tales. Chance bounded into the corner, sniffing at a small box tucked away beneath a table. Is this what we were meant to find? Jake asked, glancing back at his father, who stood observing the room with cautious eyes. Could be, his dad replied, a glimmer of nostalgia in his eyes. Or it could lead us to something even bigger. Jake kneeled beside Chance, heart racing. He reached for the box, fingers trembling with excitement. It felt heavy, packed with the weight of stories untold. As he lifted the lid, an overwhelming wave of dust swirled up, and then he froze. Inside lay a collection of old letters, their edges frayed, their ink barely legible. His heart raced as he picked one up. It felt like an invitation to the past, something that held the potential to change everything. Dad, look at this, Jake called, his voice a mix of wonder and urgency. I think we just found something important. But as they sifted through the letters, the air grew heavier, a sense of dread settling back in as a new voice echoed softly from somewhere deep within the shadows. What did the letters hold, and could they understand the secrets waiting to be unearthed? Jake held the letter delicately, feeling the textured paper between his fingers. It was as if the room had paused, holding its breath, waiting for him to read the words sealed within. His father stepped closer, peering over Jake's shoulder as the faint light illuminated the faded ink. What does it say? His dad urged, the anticipation in his voice barely masked. Jake squinted at the script. The letters danced in his mind. It's dated 1943. It looks like a letter from a woman named Eliza. She's writing to someone named Thomas. They seem to be in love. His heart fluttered. In a world of chaotic shadows, this glimpse of tenderness felt pure and warm. As he read the words aloud, the letters spoke of dreams and laughter, of a love that had endured despite the world around them. With each passage, Jake felt the weight lift. It was more than a letter, it was a lifeline, tethering him to a past filled with emotion. And here, Jake paused, catching a glimpse of something darker. She's talking about fear. The air around them thickened. She writes about whispers in the night, shadows moving across the walls. She believes someone or something is watching her. Jake's father shifted uneasily. That sounds like it could be more than just a story. With each letter they uncovered, the feeling of dread blended with anticipation. Some letters spoke of loss, of longing, others hinted at hidden truths about the house they now called home. It felt like peeling back layers of a very old onion, revealing both beauty and a bitterness that brought tears to Jake's eyes. "There's more," Jake exclaimed, as Chance tugged at his pant leg, sensing the tension in the air. "Look at these." He grabbed a handful of letters and spilled them onto the table. "They're all addressed to different people. Different families perhaps? Or maybe friends?" His father speculated, his brow furrowing as he scanned the words. "Their essay history here, Jake. It's all tied to this house." As they continued to unravel the tangled stories, Jake caught a glimpse of an envelope tucked beneath a dusty book. It was sealed with a simple wax stamp. "Dad, look." He pointed excitedly. "This one seems different." His father hesitated at the doorway. Anxiety rippled through the air, settling like a familiar fog. "Do you think we should?" "Of course, we have to," Jake declared with a fierce determination. He carefully broke the seal, a part of him lingering in the moment. What if it contained something important? Secrets perhaps, that connected their family to these strangers long ago. The letter felt cool against his skin as he pulled it out. This one was dated years later, 1962, the handwriting bold and confident. "Dear family," he read aloud, and then paused. An unsettling chill crept up his spine as he continued. "I cannot explain what I have seen, but something must be done." Jake, his dad's voice was tense now. "What does it say?" Before Jake could respond, a loud crash echoed from the back of the house, causing both of them to jump. Chance barked and dashed toward the noise, his tail stiff with alertness. What was that? Jake's heart raced, pounding in his chest. Each beat echoed in the silence that followed. "Stay here," his father commanded, but Jake was already springing to his feet, an adrenaline surge pushing him forward. There was something unsettling in the air, a magnetic pull towards the sound. This was no ordinary house. It felt alive with the energy of days gone by, stirring up all its secrets. Ignoring his father's warning, he sprinted toward the source of the sound. Was it just his imagination, or did he hear voices, murmurs coming from beyond the shadows? "Jake, wait!" His father shouted, but he was already lost in the mystery that awaited, what awaited him in that moment, lurking just beyond the reach of their understanding. Would the truth set them free, or bind them to the whispers of the past? Jake raced through the darkened hallways, the air thick with unbroken tension. Each step felt deliberate, the rhythm of his heartbeat echoing in the silence. The loud crash had shattered the moment. Fragments of hope mixed with uncertainty danced in his mind. What could it be? Another revelation? Or something deeper lurking, waiting to unravel them all? He pushed through the door at the end of the hall, a heavy wooden portal that creaked as it opened. Inside, the room felt different, charged, as if it had absorbed the weight of history. The light flickered briefly, shadows dancing along the walls. Jake squinted, scanning the darkness, but saw nothing at first. A chair lay overturned. Papers scattered across the floor like confetti from a forgotten party. But it was the whispers that filled the air, wrapping around him like a tattered shawl. His heart raced. They were there, alive, echoing from the corners of his mind. He felt his father come up behind him, a sense of urgency in the air. "Jake, please," his dad urged, sounding anxious. "We need to stay cautious." "I have to know," Jake replied, the fire of determination burning hotter. "What if whatever is happening here is connected to us?" He took a step forward, crossing the threshold into what felt like a forgotten world. "Stay close." His father's voice trembled, equal parts caution and support. As they stepped further into the room, Jake noticed a grand mirror hanging on the wall. Its frame was ornate, yet streaked with dust. Jake approached carefully, drawn to the reflection that shimmered eerily. In its depths, he saw not just himself but images, flashes of joyful moments, laughter among family, and painful separations, all swirling into one. It's like it's calling to us, Jake whispered, half in wonder, half in fear. What if it's showing us? The mirror suddenly darkened, and a chilling wind swept through the room, sending a shiver down their spines. A silhouette emerged, casting a long shadow across the floor. Jake froze, the warmth of connection spiraling into cold doubt. His heart thudded against his chest. Jake, the figure murmur echoed softly. It felt like a ghost of grief and regret, his mother, lingering in the air, or perhaps the weight of loss manifesting in that intimate moment. Mom? He breathed, reaching out. No, son, the voice trembled as it flickered like a candle in the wind. I am not her, but I carry your story. What do you mean? Jake stepped closer to the mirror, needing to bridge that gap, needing to connect. I am the embodiment of your pain, your lineage. You've carried stories, unspoken pain, not yours to hold. Release them, and you'll unlock the path ahead. What path? Jake's voice quivered, uncertainty gnawing at him. Together, you must unmask the fears that have chained your family to this house. Know that healing lies in the truth. And just like that, the vision coalesced, swirling like mist before his eyes. It showed them moments lost in time, the struggles, the fractured bonds, and above it all, threads of love laced among every mismanaged choice. They were both shackled to a legacy of silence that had to be broken. Dad, are you seeing this? Jake turned, urgency in his eyes. This isn't just about us anymore. It's deeper. His father stepped forward, now locked in the moment. I see it, son. We've let this define us for too long. We need to break this cycle. Together, they faced the mirror, the air thick with decision. What do we have to do? Jake asked, voice steady but filled with emotion. Stand together, say the names of those lost, those loved beyond measure. Acknowledge the feelings we've buried, the whisper in the mirror urged. Let us do it, Jake said, determination solid as stone. He grabbed his father's hand, squeezing it tightly. Together. Together, his father echoed, tighter than ever. One by one, Jake took a deep breath, releasing the hold fear had taken all these years. To Grandma, who taught me love through her stories. To Uncle Tim, whose laughter echoed in our home. To Mom, whose spirit never left us. With each name they spoke, the mirror reacted. The once cold surface shimmered, light breaking through the darkness, illuminating shadows that had hidden for too long. Jake's heart raced as he poured forth memories that should have been embraced instead of forgotten or shunned. And to us, his father continued, his voice building with power. To the father I couldn't be, and to the son I pushed away. They were both loved, both deserving of healing. The mirror pulsated with warmth suddenly, it shimmered as truths surfaced, and the room lightened. It felt like warm sunlight breaking through clouds after a long storm. Are we really doing this? Jake asked, a mix of disbelief and hope swirling within him. Yes. His father responded, eyes gleaming. All of it, together. As they embraced the finality of their broken past, a surge of light enveloped them. They were reclaiming the lost threads of their family history, stitching together frayed connections. With their hearts filled with a fierce love, both the joyous and the painful, they allowed themselves to step forward. They didn't just confront the darkness, they embraced it, knowing that healing would lead them to a brighter future together. As light erupted from the mirror, pushing back shadows, Jake let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. They were free. Let us go, Dad, he whispered softly, looking back at the mirror one last time. Together. His father squeezed his hand firmly, a radiant smile breaking across his face, and they stepped away from the reflection of their past, ready to build a future with open hearts and no more secrets. Jake felt lighter, filled with an overwhelming sense of love, connection, and transformation. They had transformed pain into power, and together, they could face anything. Embrace your own transformation. Remember, the true power lies in connection, and continued growth starts with you. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.